In this video, I'm going to show you how to emboss or press form, if you will, some really cool shapes in sheet metal, and wait till you see the finished product I just did on a battery box. I'm using my 30-ton Heron Forbes press to do this. It doesn't require 30 tons. It all depends on the type and thickness of the material you're actually going to be pressing. You could potentially do this with a simple bench vise as long as your material wasn't too thick. And in my case, I'm making a battery box, so this is 3mm aluminium. I did a test bend first and then went ahead and made a design so that I can cut these out of alloy using my bandsaw. Ultimately, if you intend on doing several presses, I would probably recommend using something like steel or stainless so that the dies will last a lot longer. This piece of aluminium was just a little bit too big for my vise, so a little switcheroo and we're back in business. Well, I completely messed this guy up. I was originally going to use the saw, and then I moved over to the milling machine and I pre-drilled the holes, which I wouldn't have needed to do on the milling machine, but it is what it is. I feel like I might just start fresh. A quick tip here, if you can keep the two pieces, the one you're pressing and the one you've cut the holes out of the same size, then just make a mark with a pen so that when you put the separate pieces on top of the piece you're pressing, you'll know exactly where they go, and then you can just tape them on there. So this is how the first one turned out. I'm not super impressed with it. It's okay, but I think I can improve. As you can see just here, where it doesn't really kind of contour perfectly, and it's really sharp on some edges but not on the others. So I'm gonna have another go, but before I do that, I'm gonna reuse this piece, but I'm gonna cut out 2 more of these, and I'm gonna mark, as you can see here, I'm gonna mark which ones are which. In case there's any variation, I'll know exactly which piece goes where, so that they're gonna be perfectly suited for that cutout. Attempt 2 went okay. I feel like I just want to try it one more time with less pressure. Building this box was one thing, but I haven't even decided how or what sort of lid I'm going to make for this. I guess I'm just going to figure that out as I go. And if you don't actually have a press at home to do this, don't stress, because every mechanic has one, and you'll be amazed what you can get done with a 6-pack of beer on a Friday afternoon. And if you do decide to do it that way, just make sure you do all of the prep at home, have it ready to go, have it taped together, so you just have to take it to them and get them to give it a bit of a squish in their shop press. Now to make the rest of the parts for the box, I tried a few different side impressions to try and get something that would look kind of cool, and then I ended up coming up with this, which I'm pretty happy with. The more presses I was doing, the more efficient it was becoming, and I was getting better and better at it. Like taping everything together is a really cool tip, so that you can just take it over to the press and just push it in and it's ready to go, rather than having to line everything up. This battery box was designed for the standard size battery. If we were to go a lithium size battery, we could probably go a smaller box. But that would mean we'd have to replace the regulator rectifier as well. So now we're back on this lid again, trying to figure out how to do it before I fully weld this out. I had an idea about just getting a piece of plate the same size as the inside of this, and then doing a little cutout like this, but smaller, and then just do a slot here so that can slide in, and then lower it down, and then I'll just have a return down here that I can put a bolt in this end. I just feel like that's a cheating way of doing it. I feel like, you know, it's just going to be a flat top, pretty boring looking. So that would certainly work and look okay. I just want to try something a little bit more fancy than the standard looking flat top lid. This lid is about 12mm thick. I hollowed out the bottom, and I also did the top just to give it a bit of a feature rather than just being a flat top. A quick interruption here. I wanted to give a huge shout out to a guy named Cody with the channel called Motorcycle MD. He has a world of knowledge. Every single time I've watched one of his videos, I've gotten something valuable from it. He does electronics, mechanics, all that kind of stuff. Go and check him out. He's one of those channels that makes content about common issues on motorcycles that we all go through, and I can tell you he's saved my bacon a couple of times from scratching a hole in my head trying to figure it out. I decided to run some polish over this battery box just to see what it would look like. Ultimately, painting it black is probably the best option because it will make it look smaller and it will disappear a little bit more in the bike. I haven't really decided how to fix the lid because we're probably not going to use it, which I'll explain in a second. However, all I'm thinking of doing is just drilling a hole straight through the side there and putting a grub screw or a small little screw there. There's heaps of meat on the bottom of the lid, which will work perfectly. I really enjoyed the process of building that and showing you how I did it. I've just had a quick chat with Crystal, who owns this bike, and I've just said to her I don't really like the size of the battery where it's located. So we're probably gonna go with a lithium battery anyway and not even use this box. However, it's there for maybe another build, and we're gonna try and get the battery under the seat if we can and get a new regulator rectifier. If you wanna see more bike building videos, click here. And if you wanna see more of my fabrication videos, check these ones out.